Can y'all hear me okay? Can you hear me? Oh my goodness. Y'all, we're getting ready to go on a journey. Crystal said that you didn't have to show up as 100%, and my voice is about 17%. So between my 17% voice and this 16% clicker, we're in for a really good journey for the next 10 minutes. A couple of years ago, I was at a conference, and a speaker there said that any good talk should be like a sermon in the black church tradition. That is summed up in one sentence with 3 main points. And she went on and she gave her speech. Y'all, it was so good. I said, if I'm ever invited to speak in front of people, I'm going to do it just like that. I'm going to do it where it can be wrapped up in one sentence with 3 main points. And the one sentence that I would use to talk about my time with you is joy and a new beginning. And if I had to think about 3 points, they'd be the 3 points that frame my book, and they're the 3 points that frame the way I live. And that's to live in your truth, to persevere, and to have a healthy disregard for the impossible. And that first tenet, to live in your truth. So I grew up in North Carolina in one of those, oh yeah, oh wow, yes, my people. So I grew up in North Carolina in this small town, and this small town was very cookie cutter. If you ever seen the show Weeds, it was like a Grestic of the South. So it's very suburban, very cookie cutter. And in my perception as a young kid, I felt like all the people around me came from these 2-parent, wholesome homes of upper to middle class backgrounds. And that just wasn't the narrative that I was living at the time. At the time, my mom, a black woman like me, a single parent of 3, we were struggling financially. And you couple that with the fact that at the time she was in an abusive relationship with a man who was physically, verbally, and emotionally abusive, not only to her, but to her 3 kids. So every day I'm going to school trying to figure out how do I fake so that my outsides match what I think other people's insides look like. And so I would go and I would lie, and I would tell stories about how amazing my dad was when really he wasn't present. I would talk about the amazing Christmas we would have that really weren't there. I would make up stories and my struggle, my deep-rooted struggle to find community. What I really found was a masterful way to be inauthentic in the way I lived. So then you fast forward, and I continue that through middle school, I continue that through high school, and then I go on to college. By this point, I have become perfect at being inauthentic. I join a fraternity, and I still have this perception that other people have these amazing cookie-cutter lives without struggle. And so then I graduate, and it was when I went to graduate school at the University of Maryland that my inauthenticity hit an impasse with truth. And I was at a retreat, and we had to do this activity called Step Over the Line. And Step Over the Line is like an icebreaker. So it's like Step Over the Line if you're from the South, Step Over the Line if you're vegan, all these kinds of things. And the last question that the facilitator asked was, step over the line if you've ever been sexually assaulted or sexually abused as a child. And I was so triggered because for the first time, the mask of joy that I wore got tired, and the composite of pain that was underneath that mask had to be seen. And so she asked me why I looked upset, and I broke down and I told her that I was sexually molested when I was younger. I had never told anybody because it didn't fit the cookie-cutter place that I thought everybody else was at. So you fast forward a couple of months, and I went to the University of Vermont and interned at Vermont for the summer, and an amazing supervisor there had written a book called Out and About on Campus. It was the coming out experiences of gay men and women in college. And she said, Darren, I think you should read this book. So I read the book over the summer, and I went back to Maryland to finish my 2nd year of graduate school. When I got back to graduate school that August, the person who molested me called me. I hadn't talked to her in 15 years. And she said she had come to a new place with her relationship with God, and she needed to ask me for forgiveness. At that moment, I realized there were so many stories that were incomplete in my life. And I realized that this was my invitation to complete those. So I went into therapy, thinking I was going to complete the story of the past. And I did that. But as a byproduct, I found the wherewithal and the courage to come out that I was gay. And what that time at Maryland did, what it showed me more than anything, is that we all have the courage and the need to live in our truth. Because when we speak our truth, we practice self-love. When we speak our truth, we abolish shame, fear, and guilt. And when we speak our truth, we make the ultimate plea for freedom. So I graduated from Maryland. And then I get this amazing job in San Francisco, California. I'm so excited, y'all. I'm like, this will be great. I will finally be making money. Yay, this is wonderful. So I get to San Francisco, wonderful city by the bay. I get there, my first week there, my car gets keyed. I had an SUV. My friends who live in San Francisco, it's very eco-friendly. They are very granola there, and I think that my SUV and its gas-guzzling ways and my pollutant ways, I think someone's trying to give me a memo that you and your pollutant car need to go down. So they key my car. I put my car in the shop. I get a rental. And the rental car agency said, Darren, do you want to get the car insurance that goes with the rental? And I said, no. I mean, y'all, I was just fresh out of grad school, and I just put my car in the shop to get painted. I'm not going to get insurance. 2 days later, I backed that rental into a parked car. So a week later, I know that's what I said too. So a week later, I get my car out of the shop. I put the rental in, and my car is broken into. So my mother calls me one Sunday evening, and she says, Darren, and I'm like, yes, Mama. She says, I think this is a sign. I said, really? What is the sign? And she said, I think it's a sign you should move home. And I said, really? I didn't get that at all. I said, what I think it's a sign of is I need to continue to keep paying my car insurance. You fast forward a couple of years later, and I was in Georgia finishing up my Ph.D. I had 2 chapters left to write, and my car got hit by a bus. I put my same car, y'all. That car has bad karma. So I put that car in the shop. I get it back out. And a week later, my gas pedal got stuck, and I hit my car into a tree. I thought I was going to die. I called up my friends, and I said, I really feel like I might die before I get my Ph.D. I really do. I said, so I'm not going to leave my house until I have finished my dissertation. So for the next 4 days, I stayed up all night. I finished the last 60 pages of that dissertation. Because what I now know from those 2 experiences, my time in San Francisco and my time at the University of Georgia towards the end, is that when fear comes knocking at your door, you must allow faith to answer. When fear knocks at your door, you must allow faith to answer. And that puts me in this kooky place of being here with you now. If someone would have told my mom 20-some-odd years ago that her son, who didn't speak till age of 5, who came from a single-parent home where his mom spent time on welfare, that he would go on and get his Ph.D., and that he would then go on and write a book telling the stories of his own adventures, she would say that you were crazy. And then I think about being here with you all. And some of y'all are part of the crazy. Because someone in here is a member of Sigma Kappa. And in 1871, a weird woman thought she should go to college. And so she goes to Colby. She lives with that healthy disregard for the impossible. Some of y'all are members of Beta Theta Pi fraternity. And you are there in Beta, and you're having great alums like John Wooden, who lived a principled life. The man had his last drink at 19, said his last curse word at 14. That's just plumb weird and crazy. And then he had the audacity to say that the players who played on his team must be men of integrity. And not only that, but he becomes one of the greatest coaches of all time. And then there's that member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, the son of a pastor, who decides that he has this dream about talking to a nation who is crippled with fear at the thought of racial integration. That's the tapestry that we come from. That's the tapestry that we come from. And what I know for sure, like Mary, like Martin, like John, if we all live in our truth, if we persevere, and if we have a healthy disregard for the impossible, then like those 3 men and women, we will be those saints whose labors rest, so that others, many countless others, may have joy, sweet joy, in their own new beginnings. Thank you.